Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Deziel and today I'm showing you how to do an elastic waistband. For today's example of an elastic waistband, I decided to do it on a little simple short. So the first thing I did is I took my pen block and I retraced the top part so I could get a little short block back and front. I used the pen block with the seam allowance included, so it'll be even faster. And what I did is I simply traced the top part and put the length that I wanted for my short. Here for my example, it's 7 centimeter. I measure my 7 and I square a line on both sides of the grain line. The other thing that I did is from the crotch line, I square down on the side seam. And I did the same thing for back and front. So you see from the crotch line, 7 down, and I did square. But for the back, I only square on the side seam because we have a little modification to do on the inseam part. Again here, I did square from the crotch line down to my 7 centimeter. The hem on my block here, I put a 4 centimeter for back and front. And the little correction on the back side, if you do remember on the construction, usually the back inseam, it's a little shorter on the top part. When you do short, the seam line is so little that we cannot ease in that 1 centimeter smaller we have in the back. So when you reach to that point, just take your front that you did first and place it overlapping the seam line and report the same length to gain back your 1 centimeter that you're missing. Then just using your French curve, you connect both levels with a very soft line. The other little difference that maybe you could see is that I also had only on the back inseam, I had a 0.5 out before doing my jog. Now that we have the short block done, we're going to need the measurement of the difference between the waist and the hip, because to do a pull-on garment, the opening at the waist has to be the hip measurement. So I'm going to start measuring the waist. Remember to measure the inside line, so the seam line. You measure all the way to the dart and then the other side of the dart. Here I got 18.5 on the front, and then the back, same thing. Remember to move your ruler, and here I got 17 centimeters. Now the other measurement that we need is going to be the hip measurement, and you're not going to find it at the crotch level but at the small hip level, so 5 centimeters higher than the crotch line. And remember to measure from the inside line to the inside line. Here I got 28 centimeters in the back and 23 centimeters in the front. Now we're going to add the front and the back waist measurement. So here my total is 35.5, and I'm going to do the same thing with the hip measurement, 23 cm plus 28 centimeters for a total of 51 centimeters. Now you could do the difference and find out how much we need to add at the waist. So here my difference would be 15.5 centimeters missing at the waist. First, we could say we're not going to do the dart, so we will add the value of the dart to the waist measurement. So I have a 3 plus 2 plus 2 is a 7 centimeter. So I could already subtract my 7 centimeter of the dart. And now I find out that I still need 8.5 centimeter to be added on my short. If I want to distribute it half on the front and half on the back to keep it balanced, I'm going to add 4.25 to each quarter of my short. Now I'm going to tell you how I'm going to add this 4.25 on each quarter of the short. I'm going to distribute the 4.25 in two areas. First, I'm going to trace the first part of the short. Then from the grain line, I'm going to add a parallel 2.25. Then the last 2 centimeters, I'm going to add it on the side seam on the side seam only to be able to bring my side seam straight, and that's going to give me my extra 2 centimeters at the waist that I need. So let's start with the back. I'm going to trace from the grain line, the crotch side, until the grain line at the bottom. Then you're going to measure 2.25 from the grain line towards the side seam on top, and same thing, 2.25 at the bottom. Then you could move your block. Then you'll be able to trace from the grain line to the grain line. I guess you noticed that I didn't trace the notch of the dart because we don't need the dart. Now we could use one or the other reference to trace or to retrace the grain line. Then I'm going to add my 2 centimeters at the side seam at the waist level. 2 centimeters, and I connect with the strongest point of the side seam. Now we could do the same thing with the front. So I'm going to trace from the grain line, the center front piece, all the way to the grain line on top at the waist. Then measure my 2.25 at the waist and at the bottom. Then you could move your block towards those 2 new points. Then trace from the grain line at the bottom to the grain line at the waist, this side area. Here again, you could use one or the other reference to do your grain line. Then add your 2 centimeters at the waist side seam, 2 cm to the strongest point of the side seam. We're now ready to add the box for the elastic waist, but before doing it, I want you to be conscious about what we have right now is that I use the block with seam allowance. So from the top part of my short here, I do have a 1 centimeter seam allowance. I would leave it there so it will drop the crotch about 1 centimeter and make it more comfortable. So from the top part of the block or the trace line that I did, I'm going to need to add the width. I have my elastic, and for this example I have an elastic of 2.5 centimeter. So the way to add that box or that measurement is to imagine a line from the 2 ends of the waist of the block that we trace. So from this point to this point, and I will just go up parallel 2.5 centimeter and trace. Now this is going to be for the outside part. We need to add another time this measurement, and I usually give an extra 5 millimeter for the inside part to compensate for the thickness of the elastic. So I will trace another line parallel, this time 3 centimeter. Now, as you know, the elastic is a straight band, so we have to do a box here on top, and the way to do it is to trace 90 degrees from the top line, square down until you reach the waist level. On the side seam, remember you have to reach to the 2 centimeter out. Now we have to do the same thing for the front pattern, so imagine a line from the center front waist point to the side seam waist point and just trace 2.5 parallel. Then from that line we had another 3 centimeter. Then we're going to close the box with a 90 degree from the top line touching the waist point, and the same thing on the side seam but reaching to the 2 centimeter out. So now your short pattern is finished. You're going to keep all the original notch at the bottom part and add 2 more on each pattern piece. At the fold line, so on the front, fold line both sides, and on the back, fold line both sides. Then you could cut your block and your pattern is finished. Now the pattern is finished, but before to let you go, I just wanted to tell you or show you that you could make it even more simple by eliminating the side seams, since the side seams are now completely or almost completely straight. So if you want to eliminate a seam, you could just overlap your side seam, overlap your seam line over the seam line, and cut your pattern in one piece, cut two of course, and it would be a bit like the short or the boxer short that we do for guys. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching and I see you next time.